Yeah, I've had it
This will be
once
my first time.
just a couple weeks ago, and it was probably tainted a little bit by the taste of blood on my finger from where I was helping a guy do some home improvement stuff.
Hello and welcome everyone to episode 10 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Michael, Anthony, and Steven. Hey fellas.
Good evening, fellas.
Good evening, guys. I'm really excited. What episode number is this?
We're episode 10. This is why we're celebrating. I mean, we've made it past... How many sitcoms didn't make it 10 episodes?
I know, right? No one's going to cancel us.
No.
We are here to stay.
That's right. You can't cancel what people don't listen to.
What better place than to laugh at people than the driving range? Today was a very beautiful day in Kentucky, low 50s, nice sunshine. So I thought I'll take my kids, who are very young. I took them over to the driving range, and I saw a whole host of what I would consider to be crap. People doing, 10 minutes of stretching just to hit the ball 13 times in a row. Meanwhile, I'm chasing kids around, and they're hitting the ball better than half these people at the driving range.
I can tell you right now, I've not been to the driving range in a long time, but I would be one of those people you laugh at. I'm not going to stretch and act like I know what I'm doing either. I'm going to get up there and suck and know I suck.
You got to own it, right?
Well,
that's the thing. You got to own it.
This past summer, we went to Florida. So we met some friends in Florida that lived in Florida, and they came, a different part of Florida. They came up. But anyway, he wanted to go play golf for while he was down there, because there's all kinds of courses down there in the Cape Coral and Fort Myers area. I told him, I said, look, dude, I have not played golf in a dozen years. I said, but I will go play golf with you because you want to go play golf. I think it was his birthday week, and so he wanted to do something like that. And I was like, hey, look, I'll come play golf with you. So had to rent a club, had to rent clubs, I had to buy balls, I had to do all that kind of stuff. I had to buy a polo shirt because I didn't even bring a collared shirt down there, right?
Nice.
So, I mean, it was like, ended up being a small fortune to play golf down there. By the time you paid the greens fees, and then you paid to rent the clubs, and then you had to buy the shirt and the balls and all that stuff. And anybody who plays, it had been raining like 3 or 4 straight days up until this point, and so there's water all over the course. There's already a lot of water on the course, and then there's extra water, and then there's alligators. Like, I mean, we were 12 holes in, and I probably had lost 14 balls at that point. At that, I was like, I gotta slow it down. Like, I don't know what I don't know if I just gotta take the ball and throw it out in the middle of the fairway or something to keep these balls from being lost. Because some of them I wasn't gonna go get because I was like, I'm not chasing anything in that water over there. So anyway, get up to a drive, get up to one hole, got my driver out, take a big old swing at it, and the head pops off of the club. And I'm like, and he's like, dude, he goes, I don't even know what to say about that. Like, I don't even, how does that even happen? And I'm pretty sure the head of the club went farther than the ball too, So anyway, that's kind of the extent of my golf experience. And the whole way through, I'm texting my wife saying, I hate this sport. I hate this sport. I hate this sport. Like, I am not having fun at all. That's golf, so I don't go to the driving range because I know that kind of thing's what's going to happen.
But at least you were playing with a buddy, so that's all good.
There were fun moments. I had one or two good shots. He chipped one in, so it was fun, Got a hot dog off a golf cart that comes around, so that's fun.
And here's the other thing I have to say, though. I have to give some love to the driving range because I actually met Steven. Steven, you remember this, I'm sure, right?
I do.
We were, taking our kids to this golf clinic over to the driving range, and we just started, talking about different things. And actually, I think maybe we started talking about bourbon, and our kids are over there having a time, just, try not to kill each other, swinging as hard as they can, making contact. And we just had great conversation over there.
It's one of those sports that at the high school level, sponsors throw all kinds of money at because it's a sport that kids can play the rest of their lives. Like football, obviously, kids are done pretty quickly. Even if you play to the highest level for the longest period of time, you're out of the game by the time you're 40 years old, unless you're Tom Brady. And then, the same way with baseball and basketball and all that kind of stuff. But like golf and fishing and even tennis to that extent. They throw all kind of bowling. They throw all kinds of money at high school athletes sponsoring tournaments and doing that kind of stuff because they know that if they get these kids hooked, like you got them hooked till they're 70 years old.
Golf is definitely one of those sports that you can play for a long, long time.
When you watch it on TV, all the commercials are golf commercials, right? They're advertising golf clubs or they're advertising a course that you can go play. If you're watching a baseball or a basketball game, they're not advertising like equipment because they know that anybody that's watching it's probably done playing by this point, right?
Well, guys, we have a new bottle tonight for our 10th anniversary episode. We decided to get a nice 10-year bottle to taste, and we are going to have a Old Rip Van Winkle.
Yeah, this is definitely one that a lot of people are talking about, one that's been with us for quite a while, but let's get into the specs. We got the Old Rip Van Winkle 10-year-old bourbon, and so this is a wheated bourbon. We don't know the mash bill. I'll get to that here in a second. But this is distilled at Buffalo Trace. The bottle that we're drinking from tonight has a 2018 laser code, and the ABV is 53.5, which is 107 proof. Again, 10 years old. The MSRP on this bottle is $69.99 in 2020. Yeah, I was going to say, as you know, that MSRP is not one that you're likely to see anywhere. Even at retail stores, if you're lucky enough to win a lottery or get selected, you're probably going to pay at least $10 to $15 more than what the MSRP is. And then if you're looking for this anywhere else, it's not a retail store like a big box. It's like a smaller liquor store. They're going to be charging you like $300, $400, $500. It's definitely one of those bottles that commands a lot of money, no matter where it's being sold. We're very excited to be drinking this tonight. As we told you guys from the beginning, we're not people that get to drink this stuff very often, and so we definitely wanted to pull out one of the big bottles that we have in our collection for our 10th episode. So I'm excited to get into this.
Wait a minute. So you mean we picked a 10-year-old bourbon for our 10th episode?
That is correct.
Oh, man, I thought that might have just been a coincidence. Every episode so far has been something you can probably get or see in quite a few places, but sorry guys that are listening, every now and then we got to flex a little, right? Throw something out there that you guys have seen online and Facebook and secondary and you thought you might want, so we'll let you know whether it's any good or not.
This is actually going to be my first time trying it. I know you guys have had it once or twice before, but
yeah, I've had it once.
This will be my first time.
Just a couple weeks ago, and it was probably tainted a little bit by the taste of blood on my finger from where I was helping a guy do some home improvement stuff, and he opened one up. He had it there at his house. He's like, "Hey, grab you a little bit while we're working," and so I did, and I enjoyed it then. So we'll see what it's like now.
It's a pretty nice trade to be able to help somebody out. I can't tell you how many times I've moved people places, and nobody's ever given me any Old Rip. So you got lucky for sure.
Yeah, I sure did. I tell you what, when you look at the bottle real quick, it looks funny because for me, as a guy who doesn't own one and only sees them online, people selling them and trading them and buying them and all that kind of stuff, you don't see what it looks like once the label has been ripped off, like the top. Kind of looks like it's lacking a little bit at the top because I think I don't even know, it might be black. Normally the label that goes around the foil, the foil's all gone. It just looks like a regular glass bottle, kind of a wine bottle type shape. Nice cartoon character on the front, all the fun stuff here. And it does say on the back, it says, "This remarkable whiskey is for memorable occasions." 2 times I've had it now, episode 10 and helping a guy change a doorknob. Those are memorable.
I will go on record as saying that even though I don't own all the Van Winkle series, if you look at the Lot B and the Reserve Rye, and even the 15, 20, and 23-year-old all kind of look the same. To me, this is the most unique-looking Van Winkle bottle, mostly because of the label and the font on there and everything else. And so the Lot B and the Rye, I mean, if you didn't know anything about Van Winkle, you could just pass them up on the shelf because they don't look like anything special.
Lot B looks like a ransom note or something. It's just got like typewriter font on the front, and that's about it. This thing it's got like a good cartoon character. It's got old Rip Van Winkle on the front there. He's holding his shotgun, and it does on the back. It does tell you a lot about. You could tell that they are highlighting that this is a very special drink that we have here.
I've had it a handful of times, not a whole bunch, and I know that I will say I think this is the first bottle that extinguished on my own. We're finishing up this bottle tonight with you guys, and so I know that it's not one it's easy to come by at all. I'm kind of growing attached to it. I might have to come get the empty bottle.
Do we know anything about the character on it? At first glance, it almost looks like a wizard, but then if you look closely, it looks like guardsman or warrior or
I don't know. You're the
military person.
You're the sci-fi guy, so
You think it's Daniel Boone dressed up in a wizard outfit?
Is it Daniel Boone playing Santa?
Maybe. There you go. That's
cool.
Hey, if we say it, it might be true, and you
it's
might
kind of got
hear people talk about it.
the shoe buckles like a leprechaun or something, but asleep many years in the wood. So I guess it's showing that 10 years it's laying in a barrel, and this is what you get out of it. So
that 10-year-old beard.
10-year-old. I guess that's how long it gets at 10 years. I can't imagine that gun still works after 10 years of sitting there.
A little cleaning.
I mean, I don't shoot a lot of guns either, but
You'd have to use the whiskey to clean the gun.
I would think so. It's handmade though. The bourbon is.
It's handmade.
It's handmade. I don't know how you hand make a liquid.
Well, I bet you if we go up to Buffalo Trace, I bet you there's people somewhere in a back room that are hand grinding.
Oh, I'm
grains.
sure that they're not doing this at all the same way that they do everything else that they put out there.
Yes, I'm 100% sure they're probably custom toasting the barrels. Just everything is probably hand done.
Let's see if we can taste a little hand in this stuff.
All right.
Go for the notes, gentlemen.
Well, I will just tell you guys, I could nose this bourbon all day.
It does have a great smell to it. Like, I don't know exactly what it all is. I mean, it smells expensive. It smells nice.
I just get a bunch of ripe cherries right off the bat.
The vanilla caramel notes are pretty dominant.
Yeah, and I mean dominant in a way that, how we've tasted bourbons before and we're like, oh yeah, this has some caramel and vanilla in it. Like, this really lets you know that it's there, in my opinion. And again, I don't want to sound like I'm too overly excited here, but it's got a great smell.
I would say the three, the caramel, vanilla, and the cherry are just equally as dominant as each other.
Yeah, it's a nice, I don't know how I can say it without sounding weird, but it's just a nice smell, like a nice bouquet of smells.
It's got that wood smell, but it's kind of like a good wood smell. It's there, but it's not like overpowering, and it's not something that people don't really like. It's just like, man, that smells really good, but it does smell like a rick house or something.
No, that's a good pickup on that.
I
didn't smell that at first.
But whatever rick house that is, where they store this at Buffalo Trace, or the weeded like the Weller in this, you're right. It smells 100% like you could just. They should bottle this and make a cologne out of it. Honestly.
Yeah, it does smell really good. Oh man, what a good. Get you some Old Rip Van Winkle soap.
Go for taste one.
Go for it. There's no way that's 107 proof. I think it's really smooth.
Very good finish on it too.
Yeah.
One of the criticisms that I've read a lot about this is that the finish sort of falls off compared to others, and may have not a Van Winkle experience drinking enough Van Winkle, but the finish is just fine for me on this.
I think I might be get a second taste because my first taste had a bit of an ethanol kick to it.
Get some alcohol?
Yeah.
What's funny, I was going to tell you is I tasted a little bit what you were talking about earlier when we were smelling it. You said that like little bit of soda flavor to it.
So you thought it had more of it felt higher than 107 proof.
Yeah.
He's going to try again here. Take two for Steven.
It's probably a palate warmer.
I don't know if I can put my finger on it. The second one went down smoother.
Or if you don't like it, we can go back to the pot still over there. and I'll just drink that from you.
Are we getting what we nose coming through the palate or not?
I don't think fully, but I definitely think that for me, I get the caramel and vanilla. The cherry's a lot more faint. It's not as heavy on the taste. And then, I don't know about you guys. Like I said, I don't know if you're tasting the alcohol. Maybe I know I had a little bit of bourbon earlier with dinner, so maybe my palate's already warm, but the finish just keeps kind of going for me. And I will say this, the only other Van Winkle I've ever tried is a 12-year. I don't know what to expect because I read these reviews online that say, oh, the 10 could be the worst of all the Van Winkles. Well, how would I know? Because I'm sorry, I don't have all of them sitting
if it's the worst, then
you don't have all six or whatever to line up and taste them all.
Yeah.
Well, if it's the worst, then I'm looking forward to trying some of the others sometime in my life because I think this is pretty good.
Yeah, that's the way I feel. And full disclosure, I've really sought this out after I got the first bottle of it, which was at a raffle, which I think this is actually what we're drinking. It's the first bottle I ever got at a raffle. I've sought it out for trades and everything else since then. And, of course, as we've mentioned in previous episodes, You don't usually just trade up into a Van Winkle. You got to have something special to get it. And for those of you who are listening that don't know your Van Winkle etiquette, you can't call this the Pappy because it's not Pappy Van Winkle. That's only the 15, 20, and 23 year. If you call the 10 and 12 year Pappy in the forums or anywhere else, you'll get nailed because it's not Pappy. It's Van Winkle only.
In 20 years, when I finally win my first raffle, we will open that bottle too and try it. Now, it may only be like a Woodford Double Oak or Double Oak. So you can't trade up for one of these. So, like, I can't give somebody 25 Weller Special Reserves for an Old Rip Van Winkle. I mean, the values are equal.
I think if you had Rock Hill Farms or Elmer T. Lee, you could trade up to it because,
I've tried that. I've tried doing that. And I've gotten some luck on that. As a matter of fact, I may even try that this week.
If you got regular Buffalo Trace shelfy kind of products that are very rare, like Elmer T. and Rock Hill and Weller 12, then you can usually use those in combination to try to get yourself to a 10 year. That's the best I've been able to do.
I like it. I think it's very good. And if you got this thing 3 or 4 years ago at $60, oh man, what a deal.
How do you feel about this versus an antique, a Weller antique?
They're pretty comparable.
I don't know what my reservation is on it. I don't know if I was expecting more out of it.
Well, what's a Weller antique? Like 6 years, 7 years? Both of them weeded, mash bills, right? In theory, you should have a lot of similarities.
In all the time that I've ever drank Weller Antique, the only thing I could say that's different about it, they do have similar notes and flavor profiles, but I do think that Antique is a lot harsher. And I also think that extra 3 years, and of course, Van Winkles are going to select more exclusive. When I say exclusive stocks, they're going to have ones that are more of their flavor profile than what's left over for the others. So that's always been a big debate that you got Weller Antique at 107 proof at 6 to 7 years, as Michael said. And then you got the Lot B at 12-year Van Winkle, and then you got Weller 12, which are a lot more similar than even the 107 and this 10-year and OWA are. So,
and I have no idea. So what is the proof on a Lot B? Is it like a Weller 12 90 proof, or is it more higher like this?
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure that the Lot B.
I asked you
the way that people have always explained to me is that the Lot B and the Weller 12 is like Lot B reject. And when they say Lot B rejected, they're saying that Julian Van Winkle gets to go in and pick what he wants first, and then everything else gets sort of put into blends for different Weller products and other things like that. So, and again, I know we didn't get into the brand lineage and talking about like when it was Stitzel Weller stuff, and again, I don't feel that's overdone in my opinion.
I'm not worried about that.
Not overdone that it's not important, but it's overdone in the sense that like now it's all being made at Buffalo Trace. So what's the point of talking about that? We're not even close to drinking the stuff that was made before,
right. Even at 10 years, this thing is, I mean, if you bought this in 2018 or 2019 and it's 10 years old.
Well, I'm glad that you gentlemen are enjoying it, even if, Steven, so you still feel like you're a little underwhelmed? I don't think that you would even have detractors out there that would disagree with you, because some people say they're underwhelmed by it. I mean, I initially tried the 10-year at a bar and thought, okay, it wasn't that great. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as I got a bottle of it, I started drinking it, and I don't know. I feel like when you're drinking other stuff and then you drink this after that or before it, you really can tell that it's more premium. It's not going to hit you in a premium note like, full disclosure, years ago, I won a William LaRue Weller, and I opened that with my cousin on like a Christmas Eve or something like that, and that thing was like, knock your socks off good.
Yeah.
Are you going to get that kind of effect on this thing? No. But... No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get that kind of effect, but you're definitely gonna know that you're drinking something premium.
Well, it's perfect.
More so if you're drinking a bunch of other things. So
yeah, I mean, it's perfect for what we're doing. Like it said, special occasions, and there could be a lot of special occasions, right? This isn't like a Pappy 23 where you're gonna do that one time in your life, or you're going to splurge because you just got a new job or a raise or something like this. This is something that you can get out once a year or twice a year and celebrate with, I guess. It's got Van Winkle on the front, so right. So if somebody comes over your house and you have that, it's automatically going to generate a lot of conversation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's not going to be any doubt about that.
Because as much as we know that the value of this is the same secondary as a George C. Stagg or the William LaRue Weller is twice the value. This thing right here is going to generate more conversation at your house than those. Yeah, than those BTACs that you have there that are really good, and
And they're probably better than this.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I even remember when I got that William LaRue Weller at a lottery, people were grabbing lot B's ahead of it because it's just the Van Winkle name.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even care about the William LaRue Weller. That was, again, 4 years ago for context, but people don't even, they just want the name. And so, yeah, it will definitely.
And now it kind of cracks me up that you kind of like that people, even in the same profile, skip over it. Got the Weller CYPB or the single barrel that are worth more than a lot B, you know, on secondary. You're like, hold on, this is like the granddaddy of it, and you're passing on that for this other thing that just came out a couple years ago. When you got Pappy, I know you said this isn't Pappy, but when you got any kind of Van Winkle that everybody's going to call Pappy, it becomes a hot item, that's for sure.
Well, fellas, would you pass, try, or buy?
Well, if I could buy it, I would buy it. However, since I can't buy it, it's definitely worth trying. Even if you go to a bar and you see it for $30 a pour or something like that, I mean, you're celebrating something, that's a pretty good deal. I'd say try it.
I'm going to say buy, but I'm going to say buy with caution because obviously we told you guys from the beginning you're not going to be getting this for MSRP unless you win something. And so what is the upper limit of what I would be willing to spend on something like this? Current secondary price is probably $500 to $600, whether you're local or you're national. And so I would probably be willing to spend at most $300 to $350. And even that seems like a lot, but when you got it selling for their prices, I think that that's about right where it can be expected to not regret the purchase. So I am going to buy this if I have the opportunity to buy it, but not spend the top of the mark on it. If I got to spend $600 or $500, I'm not buying it. I'm definitely going to pass.
I'm going to have to be a try, and I'm kind of torn on this because as a collector, I would want this in my collection. If I could get it for MSRP, I would be ecstatic about it. You know, if I could get it for probably under 150, I would probably be happy about it just to have it, you know, for those special occasions that, you know, for the conversation part about it. But I don't think there's any way I'm going to spend secondary price on it. I found the taste, I don't know. I don't know if it was lackluster or I was just wanting more since my first time trying it.
But you know what? He brought up a good point, though. Like, as an investor, you know, and look, let's be real, right? Some of us are investors. So, you know, and this is not going down, right?
Yeah.
So if you can get this thing and hold on to it the way the bourbon's going right now, there are other bottles out there that are $600 on secondary, but I don't really ever see them get higher than $600 on secondary. But this thing, $600 now, in 2 years, maybe $800. You know, if you get your hands on one and you want to hold on to it, it's worth it.
Last year, this was $350. Average secondary and lot B was about $400 to $425, and now it's like gone bonkers. But speaking of which, since you, Steven, aren't super impressed, I was actually thinking about something that has been not really bothering me a whole lot, but something I've thought a little bit more about. And in full disclosure, I've actually laughed at articles I've read about this in the past, but barrel picks are just exploding. They've always been a thing, but now they're so ever present is the best way to put it, that if you go to a store and they don't have a couple barrel picks sitting around, then you're really kind of questioning whether that store knows what they're doing. I don't know, lately, not just the stores that have the barrel picks, but now a lot of Facebook groups and online groups are doing these barrel picks. The fact that they're doing more of them, it kind of just saturating the market. It makes you wonder if you're getting anything special. And I've kind of come around to a couple of stores that I trust, and of course, if Big Box has got it, but like the amount of stuff that we're seeing on the shelves of barrel picks, I just wonder if there's value there. It's really starting to bother me a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like barrel picks have gotten to be like, people pick barrels now at places that it's almost like that's their way of surviving that bourbon brand, you know, is through those barrel picks. You know, all of these kind of fringe and crafts, whatever you want to call them, distilleries that are doing all these barrel picks. And, you know, I think people are sometimes just picking, to say they did a barrel pick, going to these places and doing one, just to say that they did them. Of course, you're picking, at a lot of those places, you're picking something that has already been picked, in a sense, right? Because it's MGP, right? Most likely. So they kind of it's already kind of been picked. All you're really doing is, I don't know, picking a barrel that you like the most. It's almost like putting 5 hamburgers in front of you and you're just picking the one that looks the best to you, you know, and they they were all cooked at the same time and same way and everything else. Yeah, I agree. You gotta watch this stuff, and you get tired of seeing those barrel picks out there. And this brings up a point. Just real quick, a quick story. We know that as the Mashup podcast, this is kind of one of our ultimate goals, right? Is to pick a barrel. Okay,
Yeah.
and we know what we're looking for, and we know what we'd like to pick. I'm sure that there probably have already been opportunities for us to pick a barrel or do a blend or do something that could be our own that we've probably passed up or we could have done if we wanted. But I joined a Facebook group in Florida when we were in Florida, and they were a very new the Bourbon Facebook group was very new to that area. And so I joined it when we were down there. We were living down there for a month just because it was a pandemic and we had to get out of our house, so we rented a house. And so anyway, I joined this Facebook group. At that time, only had 40 something members, and I was pretty active in it just because being from Kentucky and being down there at that time, I had a unique perspective. Now they're up over, I think, maybe even 2,000 members, and they had an opportunity to pick a barrel from Elijah Craig. And I told them, I was like, hey, look, I'm up here now. I'm up in Kentucky now. If y'all come up, call me up. Like, I'll come with you. You know, so they did that. They called me, and you know, I was all excited. Well, I didn't. First of all, I didn't see the message in time, but then it didn't matter because with the pandemic and stuff, Elijah Craig ended up canceling barrel picks, you know, live in person anyway, and so they ended up sending the samples down to Florida where those people got to pick their barrel. But I was really close to getting something that kind of cool, and that would have been on our list of some of the ones that we could have picked from. But I have no interest in picking anything from a craft distillery right now at this moment. It just seems like that's what all these stores are just full of right now. If it's not a craft distillery, it's going to be a Knob Creek or a Russell Reserve, right? That everybody sees.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if you like that sort of thing, if you're into like 4-year-old MGP, and you got like 10 different brands right now that got 4-year-old MGP, then hey, yeah, as a consumer, that's great for you. But like if I get the opportunity to pick somewhere, I want to pick somewhere unique, or pick something that's special that might have, you know, some kind of provenance to it or whatever. Like, I don't just want 4-year-old bourbon that's just sitting around that there's 10, 15 barrels of that I picked the winner of the 4-year-old bourbon. So I'm with you on that. And I've only been able to pick based on store samples, like stores being sent samples. So I've been fortunate to have that opportunity, but I'd love to be able to go on a barrel pick too.
But here, the other thing is I see, there's one store here in our area that I see. Here's like the characteristics that they always bring out in their barrel picks is it's almost like they pick these. Maybe the comparison is like buying a pair of shoes at Walmart versus like buying the Nike knockoffs, you know, that you can't afford. So that's what they kind of brag about on their barrel picks is like, oh, well, if you like Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel, then you're going to like this. If you like Maker's Mark, then you're going to like this, you know. And so they're like, it's like they're picking barrels, sell them as a substitute for something that maybe that people can get. But Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel, something you can't get every day. So they're like, okay, well, if you can't get that, come try our barrel pick.
I will cut in real quick and say, like, yeah, you're not going to get, I'm sorry, but Nulu Toasted Barrel, I've tried it one time, is not going to be Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. It's just not. No matter how you try to sell it.
But what if it has a cool sticker on it, though? Is that cool?
Well, yeah, you know, if you collect the stickers, I was actually thinking one of the coolest stickers I got recently was from Lexington Bourbon followers group, and actually a Nulu pick that they did. You know where that Nulu bottle is right now that I finished it?
In the trash.
It's sitting in the garage. There's no use for it, so that beautiful sticker that's on it, nobody sees it and nobody cares. The sticker does not endure no matter what because no one's drinking the bourbon. It's gone.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at TheMashupKY. Also, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Until next time, keep it neat.